It's DEW Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this DEW Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And we talked about the new synthetic opioid that is out that they say is 43 times worse than fentanyl. Now, we know fentanyl was, when it first came out, it was deadly, and it's not any less deadly. But right now, we've come to the point where we understand fentanyl, the street fentanyl, a little bit better, where people could not even touch. You couldn't even come in contact with this. Well, they are lacing the pills and the heroin with this nitazene. Yes, that's what this newest synthetic opioid is called. And unfortunately, two young men, 21 and 22 years old, in Texas, they have lost their lives using it. But here's the thing. They thought they were taking pills. One went to take Xanax. We know what that is. And we had another young man who went to take Percocet. Yes. Now, these are also two drugs that can be prescribed, but they can be purchased on the street. And they were both laced with this nitazene. And unfortunately, they were both found dead by their parents. And, it pushed the conversation yesterday into what do we do? What do we tell our children about drugs? What do we tell our children about the company they keep? What do we tell our children about, saying no to drugs? And, of course, always the first thing that comes to mind is, tell your children to say no, pray for them, pray with them, but it goes deeper than that. We have got to take our children to church. We have got to get our children introduced to God so that they can develop a relationship for their own. There is no such thing as us against this world. No. You remember the couples used to say, it's me and you against the world? This world is much bigger than any of us can handle. No matter how big your family is, no matter how big your village is, it doesn't matter if it does not have God as a nucleus, as the nucleus. This enemy is the prince of this world. This has been given to him. This title has been given to him biblically. This is not something we're saying. This is not an assumption. The enemy is the prince of this world. However, you need to teach your children how to serve the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, because the King and the Lord is much bigger than the prince. And if we ourselves as adults, as parents, as grandparents, as neighbors, as family, as friends, we don't have what it takes to equip our children in this world for this world. We don't have what it takes for us to conquer the enemy. You know, we are supposed to be more than conquerors. Well, we can't do that by ourselves. We have to make sure that we are armed with God and Jesus at all times. You need that Spirit of the Lord. You need that, as the old people would say, you need that Holy Ghost walking with you at all times. You need that Holy Ghost moving at all times. Now, here's the thing. I know several people who have the Spirit of the Lord, and it is though it's nothing. Is as though it's just something that pops in and pops out, turns on and turns off. And that's not what happens. The Spirit of the Lord is your GPS. The Spirit of the Lord should be relied upon the way we rely upon that GPS. You know, I have a daughter who drives, and she can drive to the same place 50 million times, but she's turning on that GPS. I don't know why. We don't know why. We laugh, we joke. But in reality, that's the way we need to deal with the Holy Spirit. We need to get up every day conceding and surrendering to the Spirit of the Lord and letting God know, you know what? I have nothing to say today. I have nothing to do today if it does not include you. I have nothing to say today, nothing to do today. If it does not include you, if it's not ordered by you, if I have not heard from you. And the only way we can do that is to connect with him. Now, I'm sorry to just really disenchant a whole lot of you, but you can't do that from your bedroom. You cannot do that from your living room. You cannot do that on TV with T.D. Jakes and Joel Osteen and Joyce Myers and whomever else. You're going to have to develop that relationship with God himself. You're going to have to get into a Bible-believing church. Surround yourself with people who are fighting just like you and make it happen. This life in Christ has to be intentional. And yes, we started off talking about the children, and we're still talking about the children. The children can't do it without us. They cannot do it without us. Too many of these children are operating without us. We have parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts living right in the home, and it's like the children are living by themselves. Yeah. Expected to make adult, rational, logical, and correct decisions with no guidance. Fear is leading these lives. And once you allow fear to enter your life, you've given up. You've given up. And you're going to have to understand that you have traded God for the enemy. I don't care how much you sit up in church. I don't care how much you pray. I don't care how much you read. If you are living in fear, there's no fear in God. God is not in fear. You may be saying, you may be thinking, but this life in Christ has got to be intentional. You have got to let anything that does not include God, that is not governed by God, you've got to let that go. And I understand it's not the easiest thing to do, especially if you've lived in it. And that's why these children can't get out of their own way, because the parents are not doing what they need to do. Stop putting a stripe on your chest because you go to work every day and you bring home the bacon. Stop putting a stripe on your chest because you take your kids on vacation and you buy your kids clothes and you doing it by yourself. If you do it without God, you're not doing it. And let me help you understand something. All that going to work and buying the kids clothes and taking care of the kids and taking them on vacation, can I remind you of something? None of that happens without God. So my question to all of you, if you're not honoring God, then what's happening? Your family is as exposed as ever. This is too big for us to fight by ourselves, and we're going to have to get this together. So go back and listen to yesterday's episode. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Filled with a lot of advice, filled with a lot of guidance, filled with a lot of counsel. Go back and listen again. And emerge making a decision that I'm going to serve God. I'm not just going to call on God. I'm not just going to ask God to guide me. I'm going to serve God. And when you decide to serve God, then you're on to something. That's how we spent our Tuesday. Well, today is Wow Wednesday. We made it. We made it by the grace of God. We are sitting in the middle of the week only because God has said so. So we're about to get this party started. We're about to get our girlfriend Vivian on with her socially conscious segment. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell everybody that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we'll be right back.
I'm a doctor, and these are the 4 things I never do at night. First, eat a heavy meal before bed. It disrupts digestion, spikes insulin, and messes with sleep quality. I make it a point to finish dinner at least 2 to 3 hours before sleeping. Second, scroll endlessly on my phone. Blue light wrecks melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep. I make it a point to put my phone away an hour before bedtime. Third, drink caffeine late in the day. Caffeine has a half-life of approximately 5 to 6 hours, so I avoid tea or coffee at least 6 hours before bedtime to prevent sleep disruption. And fourth, go to bed stressed. Mental stress equals poor gut health.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Wow Wednesday, y'all. By the grace of God, we have made it to the middle of the week. And where other people are trying to figure out, how am I going to get through this hump day? We don't call it hump day. We call it Wow Wednesday. Because we have put it in the hands of the Lord. So I want to say good morning to each and every individual that's on here with me. And the only way I know you're on is if you give me a shout. So we got a shout from Ketty. Good morning, Ketty. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a shout from our boy Terrence. Good morning, my king. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And Serge, hey Serge, what's going on, Serge? Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, Miss Charlene, hey, how you doing there? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got Miss Erlima. Good morning. Happy New Day, as you say, and I say happy Wow Wednesday, Miss Erlima. Thank you for joining us this morning. We've got our girl Teresa in the house. Good morning. How are you, Teresa? Thank you so much for joining us. And I know Miss Grace is out there. So good morning, Miss Grace. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you're doing well this morning. And we cannot go any further without saying good morning to the ladies that make it happen. Come rain or shine, we are on. Let's say good morning to our girls, Shantice. Hey, Shantice, good morning. Hopefully we'll be talking to her in a second. And we got to say good morning to Anika, who's always laying back in the cut, making sure it's going down. So, good morning. And thank you all for joining us today. Did you call somebody? Did you text somebody and let them know that it's Wild Wednesday? And girl, guys, everybody, we get ready to talk to our girl Vivian. Let's say good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wild Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. Vivian, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good. You know what I like to ask. What you got for us today?
All right. Today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with the nurse submitted story regarding our Mayor Eric Adams. So they're saying New York City's Mayor Eric Adams announced that more than 1,000 homeless New Yorkers who had been living in subway stations have now moved into permanent housing through the city's subway safety plan. They are saying since 2022, the initiative has connected over 8,600 people to shelters and helped 3,500 individuals from streets and subways transition into stable homes thanks to expanded outreach teams, safe haven beds, and support services. The city is also investing $650 million over 5 years into homelessness and mental health programs, including a bridge to home facility offering psychiatric care, 900 additional safe haven beds, and more supportive housing. Alongside these efforts, subway crime has dropped, robberies are down 16.7%, and felony assaults are down 9.3% compared to last year. This is suggesting improved safety for riders and those receiving services. Mayor Adams says the goal is not just to clear the subways, but to provide lasting stability by pairing housing with mental health and care and other resources, creating a safer and more supportive city for everyone. So this news is coming from our mayor and his administration. Our next story brings some great news for our parents and our children, especially for those juggling work and school schedules, because New York City is making its biggest move in after-school programs in the past decade. Now that's crazy. They say New York City is launching its most significant expansion of free after-school programs. Yay! This is happening in both public schools and charter schools this fall. They're saying 40 new sites across the 5 boroughs, including both public and charter schools, will open, welcoming 5,000 elementary age students, K through 5, into structured after-school settings at no cost to families. The city plans to build on this initial push, investing a total of $331 million over 3 years to bring 20,000 additional seats online by fall of 2027, with the goal of serving 184,000 public school students annually once this is fully implemented. This initiative not only supports children academically and emotionally with programs ranging from robotics to the arts, sports, and homework help, but also it offers essential relief for families, particularly working class and low income households, by providing safe and enriching environments during the critical hours after school. So that is some great news to share. Next, we have a quick update and a reminder as we are approaching the first day of school out here in New York City. They want us to be reminded of the bell to bell ban, but they have extended and or changed the vocabulary of this ban. They are saying this bell to bell ban includes cell phones, smartwatches, and tablets. They're saying any and all personal internet enabled devices are banned from bell to bell. Remember, they were talking about spending this enormous amount of money. So they're saying during the entire school day, from classrooms to lunch and study periods across its 1,600 public schools, there will be a ban of all internet-enabled devices. They will give secure storage options like lockers, pouches, or cubbies. Um, they are spending again $25 million in city funding, while while the state adds support and flexibility for districts. They are saying there's only few expectations to this new rule. Any students who require devices to manage medical conditions, assist with language translation, full and able to fulfill caregiving responsibilities, or if it's part of their IEP or 504 plan, those are the only students who would be an exception to this rule. And schools must maintain reliable emergency contact methods for the families now that this ban is in place. So we are just days, weeks out into the first day of school, and they are making sure to remind us and let us know that this ban is not only for the cell phones, but they are including any internet-enabled device. And we have another update. We're checking back on the New York's ambitious Free Community College Initiative. They're giving us the numbers of people who have decided to take advantage of this opportunity. And they're saying 16,500 New Yorkers aged 25 to 55 have applied for the state's groundbreaking SUNY and CUNY Reconnect program, which again offers fully covered community college tuition, fees, books, and supplies for any degree in high demand fields such as AI, cybersecurity, nursing, engineering, renewable energy, and teaching. Governor Kathy Hochul called the response as she says, lives that we are changing forever. So she's excited to hear about the 16,500 amount of people who have decided to take this opportunity and further their career. Remember, this started just this year in June. So since then to now, 16,000 people have decided to take on this opportunity. And now we have our wow story of the week. And this is a different one, but I thought that it was very interesting. So they're saying out in New Jersey, a heartbreaking double murder is sparking a major push to rethink what counts as domestic violence. On August 1st of 2024, a state trooper by the name of Michael Embert allegedly stalked his ex-girlfriend, Lauren Semenchik, all the way to her home and killed both her and her friend before taking his own life. Lauren had already been living in fear, dealing with constant calls and texts, vandalism, hidden recording devices, and she'd asked for help. But because the law focuses heavily on physical violence, all those mental and emotional red flags did not get the same legal weight. And unfortunately, it cost her and her friend their lives. So now Assemblywoman Aura Dunn is pushing for a bipartisan bill that would expand the definition of domestic violence to include psychological and or economic abuse. That means harassment, any type of control, and other behavior that causes serious fear or disrupts daily life could be addressed before it escalates to physical harm. Dumb says plainly, this young woman feared for her safety and the system failed her in the worst way. If passed, this change could be a game changer. Victims could get restraining orders or police intervention earlier before the situation turns violent. It would also give survivors a clear path to prove abuse that happens in the shadows, the kind that chips away at your mental health and safety over time. Excuse me. They're saying with over 70,000 domestic violence cases reported in New Jersey last year alone. This is up 15% since 2015. Advocates say this is about catching danger at its warning sign stage, not the crisis stage. And this would be another great news to be able to share. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories that you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM, and come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers, and thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Vivian. As always, getting, top-notch, socially conscious news.
Thank you.
I just can't thank you. I can't keep up with you. I can't keep up with you. So you make sure you just don't ever step out this road, girl. This here, this is big stuff. This is big stuff. Thank you so much. Let's get our ladies on the line and let's get chatting. Because, man, we got some stuff to talk about. Good morning, Lady Tamika.
Good morning and happy Wednesday to you. How are you today?
I am well, thanks. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Woo! We've been given some stuff to talk about. Well, let's see if anybody else has checked in. No one else has checked in, so we are up to date on our good mornings. So let's get started. So our Mayor Eric Adams, I guess he's trying to get his digs in as quickly as possible. So we have a brand new number of 1,000 homeless people who have found permanent housing, and they are talking about new initiatives to get this done. Up to $650 million, Viv, into homelessness and healthcare and mental health. Did I get that number right?
She said yes.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Oh, she did. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. And this is a big move because we've been talking about this homelessness for a minute now, Lady Tamika. And now that we hear that, since 2022, there have been over 8,000 people who have been moved into better homeless situations. And now over 3,000 people in total have been moved into permanent housing. What are we talking about here? Are we really trying to make some moves finally?
To be honest, part of me feels like this is one of those last-ditch efforts that you do so that your name remains up in lights. Because my thing is, the homeless have been with us. This is not anything new, and this is an area that I'm familiar with because my husband and I do service our neighborhood, my old neighborhood. And we do see a minor change in those areas because these people are not people that sleep on the subway. They are literally people that sleep underneath a tarp or literally down on the side of a highway, so we don't see a change in that environment. But the fact that something is being done, I think it's a beautiful thing, but it should have been done for a long time ago. You've been in office for a while to be able to make that happen. I honestly believe that this could be one of those things where, look at me, look what I'm doing now. But this is something that could have been done long time ago.
Okay. Ooh, thanks for getting us started. Shantice, where you at, girl?
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well,
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So, Lady Tamika says, I'm trying to make myself relevant right now. What you say?
The exact same thing, because that's exactly where my mind went. It went to, it's been going public that you've been wanting to spend money to do the greenery and so on and so forth, $30 million on the greenery and all this craziness. All this craziness. Now you want to service the people because now, as Lady Tamika said, your name needs to stay relevant. Now you see that there's people who are gaming for your spot, and there's a chance you won't be reelected. So now it's like, let me try to act like I'm for the people now. Unfortunately, sir, you have a long line of showing you are not for the people. You could put up every single homeless person in the New York City area. It will not erase all of the buffoonery that you have pulled previously. It's like now you want to shake hands and kiss babies, please.
All righty. Viv, what say you? Were you impressed by these numbers?
No, because I don't believe him. I don't believe nothing that man say. Every time he comes out with some numbers of how he has done some good, then on the back end we start hearing, oh, that's not true. This is actually what's happened. We did the story about how he specifically talked about how safe the subway systems are and how crime has gone down. And then we hear that there were people in the MTA working with them and lowering the numbers than what they actually were in order to benefit themselves. So I don't believe nothing this man say. He always puts out this type of news to make himself look good, like he's out here doing something, and he's not. He's not. I mean, if these were real numbers, then this is a great thing, but I just don't believe him.
Simply put. Okay, so here's my thought. My thought was, when I'm hearing these numbers, it's election time. I'm sorry. It's election time, and I'm going to say that it's been 4 years. So we do know you step into, other people's shoes. You have to undo some stuff before you can gain some ground, make some impact. So I'm not unaware of that. I'm not unaware of that at all. I do understand it's going to take a minute for you to get your momentum going and for you to start to show what your work. It's going to take a minute, and that's not just you, it's anyone else. When Vivian, you walked into your brand new job, Tamika, when you walked into a brand new job, Shantice, when you walked into a new job, when Stephanie walked into a new job, when any of our viewers have walked into a new job, that's the deal. You got to clean up somebody else's work, then you got to show who you are, then you gain some ground, blah, blah, blah. It all takes time. Unfortunately, he's been going in the opposite direction for Stephanie for a minute now. And like Vivian said, when she started quoting them numbers, I was like, okay, yeah, right. I ain't moved, and I ain't. Why? Because it's been proven that numbers that you've quoted before are not actual numbers.
Right.
So why should we believe you now?
Right.
And unfortunately, not that we can't all, come to ourselves and, make it better, but it's election time. So now all the numbers that you've been quoting that have not been true, we're supposed to believe now that all of a sudden that these numbers are true. And unfortunately, when you have gotten to a point where people doubt you, this ain't the time for people to really be believers. And I don't honestly believe it. I'm listening to the four people right here. And I would love to hear from all of you in this chat room whether you honestly believe that this is something that's true. You know, what can we say that anything has shifted, you know, and there has been no improvement? Absolutely not. I'm sure that maybe now that the president has put people out of the country, I'm sure 5 people have moved into permanent housing. But when Vivian has brought news to us such as thousands of vacant apartments under his command in housing alone, how all of a sudden now we got 8,000 people moved? Where they moved to?
Right.
All of a sudden all this went down. When we had vacant apartments that were not even available but were vacant and could have housed people. What happened all of a sudden now? Just as 2 blinks, and now we've got this sudden move. So off the subject for a minute, it is Wednesday. Last Wednesday we did start an initiative of our own, you know, where YouTube is clocking our favorite fans and engagers. So being up in this chat room can definitely help you become a favorite fan and engager. And we'll give you a little prize every 2 weeks. So this is 1 weekend. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that. But please let us know if you honestly believe that these numbers are real, if you believe that our Mayor Eric Adams has made a difference. Now, I'm going to ask you ladies this question. And I'm going to start with you, Lady Tamika. And I'm going here today. He's got a full 4 years almost, because we're in August. And before you know it, we'll be out of this year. And he would have started in January. As an African-American mayor, are you impressed? Has he lived up to your expectation?
No, not at all. You know, I keep hearing antics, you know, not what you've done. You know, you've got to show me a lot more than that, you know, and I've heard opposers, you know, oh, he did this, he did. I don't see it, you know, because my thing is when you're doing something, I should be able to see it in my neighborhood, you know, and the areas that we service, I'm not seeing that. You know, all I'm seeing is, look what I can do. Give me a chance, you know, give me a moment. They're not giving me enough of the talk, you know, show it by what you do, you know, and from what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing it, you know, and I just looked at, you know, Serge saying that he still sees the original homeless people in the subway. I still see the original homeless people on the street. So where are they going? If they're not on the street in the area that I service, and they're still on the subway, you know, and they're still on the street, who's, you know, you can't show me what I can't see. All I'm seeing is the news. Give me a chance. Let me do this. You brought more people in than what we had, you know, from other places who don't speak the language, who have a language barrier, who have to now adapt to something that they entirely didn't know. You can't get them back. And now you have no place to put those who are already here, who are already on the streets and subway. You haven't shown me anything, sir.
Okay. Shantice, as an African-American mayor, have you seen a difference in his regime than others?
Yeah, the difference is he was worse.
Oh.
It's sad how we finally got an African-American mayor, and your loudest moments was in support of the politician that's on the other side of the fence. I don't care nothing about his position being higher than yours. You had the voice. You were supposed to be the voice of the people in the communities you are governing. So who cares about the president? Who cares about anybody else? We're relying on the city council. The city council is relying on you to make things happen for the city. That's why there are layers. Because the president, good or bad, has all of the states that they have to consider. They don't necessarily always have the time to dive into every small detail, but the borough presidents and the mayors, they're the ones who are supposed to be the change agents for everything local. And you failed horribly. You showed that it was all about you and your clout. Every opportunity you got, it was about you and your clout, how you were going to have your name reign. And it's sad. It's like, excited to meet you for what? That's horrible. That we have someone in that position on the side of the fence. And I had the opportunity to walk up and shake his hand and like, wow. And I was just so unmoved. For what? No. So there was a difference. Unfortunately, he didn't match up to one of the ones who is running for his spot right now. And it's going to be really sad when somebody else on the opposite side of the fence is able to come in and be the voice for us. And you had that opportunity.
All righty. Vivian, do you feel, we had someone on who, when we said that we hadn't seen anything, they were like, hey, yeah, he's done this and he's done that. And yes, he's moved here and yes, he's moved there. And could you agree or disagree with that individual who said, I know he does things. I know he's done things.
I could disagree. I mean, there has been some positive things that may have come from him. I'm personally not 100% sure on like what exact role he plays and things like the fact that I believe it was Queens, the Bronx, and Brooklyn who got some new schools coming out this school year. We just talked about the new school after school programs that just came out that are coming out for the new school year. So I'm sure he's played a hand in some of this because he is the mayor of New York. So I'm pretty sure he plays some part in it. Some good things have come out, but one thing that really disappoints me about him is how he tries to make it seem like he's done so much more than he has.
Right.
And then on the back end, people are coming out and just disproving what he's claiming.
Right.
We talked about how he spoke about the rats and the decrease in the rats. And then we literally had someone in our church, a little boy in our church, come and say, at that exact week that he was coming out talking about, oh, we've done so much better with this rat problem, the little boy came telling us how he saw mice running around in his classroom that week, several times in that week. So it's just unfortunate.
Wow.
Like, maybe you have done some good, maybe you really have done some good, but he tries to make it seem like he's done so much more, and that's the problem. Just be honest. You're making yourself look even worse as a Black mayor because you're trying to make things seem better than they are. Right. And that's the problem. That's one of the biggest problems I have with him.
Okay. Tamika, do you feel that we're putting too much pressure on him because he is on this side of the fence?
Absolutely.
That we're putting, the expectation is more on him than somebody else on the opposite side of the fence?
Absolutely not. I mean, you have how many jobs? One. Your job is to service New York, just like anybody else. Yes, we are looking for you to advocate for us. You are supposed to be that one person that we can stand in and say, okay, that's my mate, but unfortunately you haven't done that, and I think about just in the time that he's been there, and his cabinet and all these arrests and all these other people that were supposed to be, in line with you, it's scary because, you stand for that as well, and all the stuff that has transpired since you've been in office. I'll be honest, when he was a police officer and he was coming up and he was I was excited. I was like, okay, what is it that you will do? How is it that you're going to change things for us? And I'm not thinking specifically for us. I'm thinking for us as New Yorkers, not as, yes, I want to be able to look at you as an African American and be proud. But I have the same concern for anyone else, because you are for the people, not just for us, and the fact that you haven't done that, you have done us a great disservice, and it's sad because you don't want to look at it and say, well, every time one, and I see it in the chat, every time one of us gets in office, it looks bad. I don't think that I should be able to look at you and say, oh, because you are Black, I'm expecting you to do stuff for Black people only. You are for New Yorkers. But because you are Black, I look at you a different way because I'm like, hey, finally, we get in office and finally we're going to do something.
Okay. Well, as Tamika said before, Sir says, I still see the original homeless people in the subway. And Ketty says, outside of the fence, always wants these positions. And when they get into office, you don't see anything that they have done for the people. So here's the deal. I do think we do have expectation when we see, a minority get into position. And I say a minority because it's like this. When Diaz was borough president of the Bronx, he did his thing for the Hispanic community. Period. Set them up lovely. Of course, Black people benefited as well. But he went in and because what happens is minorities don't get the attention that they need when these other when white people get into office. Right. Why? Because they really don't understand the plight of the minorities. Now, they're supposed to service the entire city, the entire 5 boroughs, the entire state, that the city portion of the state, I should say. And we are looking for any minority to step in and it's like, finally somebody from our neck of the woods who's going to understand our plight. Because the fact of the matter is, when white people get in there, we do not get the attention. Those things that we need do not get the attention that they need. So there's this side that comes about when it is time, when we take office. So, hey, is there a level of disappointment? Yeah, there's a level of disappointment from the people because, you got into office and, like I think it was Lady Tamika who said, hey, when I saw you coming up in the ranks from being a police officer to a this, to a that, and finally to a mayor, that's why you got the job. That's why people came out and voted. And it's sad to say that. But I'm going to tell you something. If you don't think that's what's going on now with Mom Donnie or whatever his name is, you better think again, because that's what's happening right now. That's why there's this fierce battle going on with trying to show, quote unquote, who he is and if he's going to be prejudiced because they see it coming. Oh, it's coming. Because let me tell you something, when they get into office, you normally see that's who gets their attention. Like I said, when it came to Diaz and borough president in the Bronx, man, the Hispanic community, they soared. All the things that they needed, wanted, they got. He put his people in office. They did their thing for the Hispanic community. And this is what happens. But unfortunately, we take a back seat to needs, our needs being met. So this is why there is such a concern and demand when we take office, because we're like, Lord, somebody from the hood, they're going to finally see what we've been experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to come out with greenery before you came out with the homeless numbers, see already that messes me up.
Yep.
That messes me up. Vivian's socially conscious news about the greenery showed up before the homeless numbers. Now I have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why people feel like, hey, are you really doing your job? Are you really? Who cares about greenery the most? I want to hear from y'all. Who y'all think care about greenery the most?
The other side
White
of the
people.
fence.
It ain't us.
What she
The other side of the fence. As long as there isn't a whole bunch of litter and garbage in the area, and we can retreat there for whatever, luxury time, we don't, what I'm saying? Like that's not where our decor. We don't care about the decor of the outdoor in that sense. We care about the decor of the inside. Like, how does my living room look? My bedroom look? My office look? Like, how can I set my mother's house up to look? Like, that's the decor we care about. When it comes to outdoors, as long as it ain't a bunch of garbage, we could care less.
Because we're going to make it happen.
Exactly. We went to Home Depot and bought some greenery for the area we in. Right. For the little section that we're going to occupy. Whoever else is there, we know we're going to keep our little greenery that we bought clean and comfortable, so us, our family, friends, and kids can enjoy ourselves. And whatever y'all do outside this box is y'all business. But to invest the money like that, it's like, come on. No.
Yeah, that's not our concern. So when we hear that we still got homeless people, but you didn't put millions of dollars, $10 billion into greenery, what do you think our thought is going to be? That we don't care about where we walk the dogs. We're going to walk the dog. You want to be able to walk the dog and sit on the bench and have greenery. And I'm not saying it's not important, but what I'm saying is whose focus is on what. And when you come out with that number before you come out with the homeless, so you got the housing projects, which is not really mostly occupied by the Caucasian community.
Mm-hmm.
And that is vacant. That is lacking and suffering. And I'm not saying that we don't contribute to that. Please do not misunderstand me. I grew up there. I saw. But when you say that we still got people living in shelters, why didn't you take that $10 billion and put it into hiring 5 extra people who would have done the job to make sure that those apartments were vacant and prepared for people to move in? That's not the first numbers we got. The first numbers we got was who could be on the outside. We already on the outside. Who cares? Who cares? We're already on the outside. We homeless. We barely making it. Now you're coming up with other numbers, which takes us into our next segment of the after school programs. That's what we care about.
Right.
You're worried about whether it's greenery, but we got to go to work, and our kids on the greenery, you're going to lock us up if they're on the greenery. Shantice, they're putting together more after school programs for the elementary schools, for public and charter schools. What does that mean to us?
Absolutely. Vivian was speaking on, she's sure that there's something he did. One of the things that I am aware of him doing that was beneficial was this whole DYCD organization and him putting money behind that. The DYCD is a huge organization that's it's not school-based more than it's community-based, with providing community programs for students throughout the tri-state area. And I've worked with Ms. Dara Bragg and the DYCD organization. What's the name? I forgot the name. It was a series of events that they were having for children throughout the tri-state area, and each week they would artist stage, that's what it was. They would bring a celebrity to come in and give a motivational talk and encouragement to the children, to the students, the kids. And it was really, really inspiring, even for me to see that there's still people who are willing to invest. And I love that they were very strategic as to who they chose to come and speak. You know, they didn't choose people on the opposite side of the fence to speak to kids on this side of the fence. You know, they had people like Peter Guns and I forgot his name, one of the rappers, it'll come to me. But they were real strategic in the arts to also encourage them, like, listen, you can actually have a career in the arts and actually be legitimately successful in the arts. You know, you don't have to do anything illegal or quick in order to get to the status that, you know, they're on. So when you talk about these after school programs, yes, you know, it's like, it's almost like a finally thing more than like, yay, we have it. It's like, okay, about time, because this is something that parents should not have to stress over. Parents should not have to stress over paying for this nasty school lunch. Like, why is that still a thing? Parents should not have to worry about paying for or worrying about what their children are going to do up until the time they can get off work to go pick up their child. There should be programs. So they're providing these free programs. Great. Now we can see where this money y'all claim y'all don't have is going. This is the greenery. Welcome to the greenery.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Viv, after school programs surging in numbers, serving a whole lot more children, thousands more.
Yeah, this is great news. And I love the fact that it's not just let's open up the doors and just have them in here. We'll figure out what to do with them afterwards. And they be in there doing TikTok dances and all this silliness, but they're actually putting in thought as to, okay, we're going to open up these doors and what are we going to do with them? We're going to help them with their homework. We're going to have robotics programs. They're going to actually do things that are going to help these kids in their future, not just babysit them. So that is great news. Now we just got to make sure that the people y'all have up in there is credible. We don't need you just taking Dick and Jane off the street to watch these kids after school, and they really not putting into use the money that y'all have put into these after school programs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lady Tamika, what say you about the after school program surge?
I feel like, phew. Finally, somebody's looking after somebody's child. You know, the after school program is something that benefits mom and dad who are working as hard as they can. You know, if you could just hold my baby for 2 more hours, you know, I just need to be able to handle such and such and such, you know, and productive stuff. You know, I think about when we first had the pandemic and what children went through with the introduction of virtual school. You know, you can see them with their screens up to the ceiling. You're looking at the ceiling fan and the child is in the bed sleep. You know, something constructive that children can do. You know, I'm grateful for stuff like that. You know, even now with the introduction and the maintaining of the summer program, Summer Rising program, which is what Al is a part of. In the summertime, you know, you help nurture the children so that they get themselves ready for school. And then start school, the after school programs is amazing. So they still have a hand, you know, mom and dad, and then they still have that instruction and guidance by counselors and aides and staff that keep them in line so that, hey, listen, you know, we're after school. So here, take this book. We're going to read such and such, you know, so that when they're after school, they're not knocking down things and, you know, going to the mall and acting up and causing all kinds of ruckus. This keeps our children in line and keeps them focused, you know, from school, after school, in the summertime. I think that's a wonderful thing that we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. We got to check in from our Pastor KL. What it do, crew? Hey there, Pastor KL. Thank you for joining us on your day off. We've got Serge, who says the after school program is a great way to keep our kids' minds progressing into what world is changing into. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I have said on here many times when Shantice and Shawnice were in elementary and junior high school, there were no after school programs. They were latchkey kids. And thank God the world was not as crazy as it is now, where I could, and I had neighbors who would, every eye was on this house. However, by the time my youngest came along, she was no material for latchkey. No, she wanted to be active. Tamasia wants to be active. She's very creative when she dances, and that after school program was monumental in her life. She had after school when she went to elementary, after school when she went to junior high, which prepared her to go to an arts based high school on campus, and they were the ones who helped to craft her and to pull out and extract everything that she had. They were very good when and they were focused. They had a wonderful, and the kids, the people that worked in the programs, as Vivian said, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but they were people from the community. They were young, talented Black people who understood us. And even people from the other side of the fence, but they understood us because they came from the community, and they were to target what our children needed. So now that we're having, an increase in after school programs, this is fantastic because now you're adding robotics. That wasn't a part of the after school programs back then because it wasn't a thing back then. Remember, technology was for Asians and Indian people. That was not a Black thing. So now you are able, you heard Pastor Kale yesterday say when he took the test for Bronx High School of Science, it was the Asian people, because up until recently, that was not our thing. We didn't have a foot in that door. But we're just as talented and just as gifted. And sometimes we need just that extra push. We're coming from different homes. We're coming from different backgrounds. So now with this increase of after school programs, this is what our children need to, as Serge said, as you ladies have said, stay focused, to again extract the talent and the gifts, and to help keep them occupied. We surely don't need a bunch of children that don't have anything to do out here now. So, big ups to Mayor Eric Adams, whatever hands you had in that program for our children, because this is what they did need. We have a check-in from our Deacon Diallo. Hello, Deacon Diallo. Thank you so much for joining us, stopping through this morning. We've got the reminder on the bell-to-bell ban on the, how do they say it now, internet-enabled devices. So we talked heavily about this earlier this year, last year, during the school time, where Vivian talked about this a lot because this was a big thing, how much money they were spending on, securing your devices when you got to school. Well, now they're reminding us that only for medical needs, for children who need the translation, for IEP students who have IEP or 501 plans, those are the only exceptions. So as we quickly put a close to this, hopefully, where now that school is open back up in a minute, you now have a plan in place and you should have this settled. How easy should this be to enforce, Viv?
Should be very easy. Should be very easy. I know it's going to be, I was about to say, how hard is it to just give up your phone for a couple of hours? But in today's society, it's very hard. But it shouldn't be that hard for a bunch of kids who, You're going to school and you have something to focus on. You have something that you need to be focused on. So don't bring them. Don't bring them. If you don't want the teachers taking them, holding them, forcing you to put them in these pouches and lockers, just don't bring them. And the parents need to make sure that they are enforcing this, because in my opinion, it is very much needed. These kids are too dependent on these devices. They just sit together in the lunchrooms. There's no talking. There's no playing. They're all on their separate devices. This is very much needed. They need to learn how to be social again. So the parents, please make sure you're not out there fighting the wrong side of the fight. Out there trying to get doctor's notes claiming that your child needs these devices. Please.
What?
Please make sure you're on the right side. Right. Make sure you're on the right side of this fight and help the teachers put this in place. Help the schools put this in place.
Absolutely. Lady Tamika, how easy should this be to enforce?
Again, I'm number 2. It should be easy, but okay, as a wife of an educator, Al comes home and he tells me all of the trauma and things that happen with these children because they do not know how to detach from these phones.
Yes.
You know, last week, if I'm not mistaken, they went to Dave and Buster. What do you do at Dave and Buster? You laugh, you giggle, you play games, you eat, you hang around. You got kids
interact
literally on their phone. He had to take away 3 phones because these children are sitting at Dave and Buster's on the table with their phones. You know, in classrooms, he walks past classrooms where teachers are teaching their poor hearts out. And what are the children doing? They're
sneaking phones.
You know, and you know, I could see now. Mom just bought a watch for this child because they said, well, you know, you don't have a phone, but you could, you know, we could communicate on the watch. You know, all of that. You know, because moms can be very, very sneaky. You know, and I see all kinds of stuff, and it's sad because you know I am advocating with V as well. You know, how many times mom will advocate for this child? He has a student now who has not been to summer school at all. Now you realize that you have to take your regents before the end of the year.
The summer, right? That's right.
You know, and mom is saying, "Oh well, it's okay. She'll get to it." You're putting extra weight on these children. These children need some time to be able to detach so they can fully learn. Listen, we did it without phones and we function fine. You know, and why can't these children? We have given them, we have babied them, we have ooh poo poo poo, ooh poo poo poo. It's time for them to take that time and get away from those phones so they can fully focus on their education and get what they need, especially our children. Because we have to do 2 or 3 times greater than anybody else. And it's important that you put your head in that book and take that phone and put it wherever it needs to go so that you can get your studies done.
Absolutely. Shantice, 30 seconds to wrap this up. How easy should it be to just settle this now?
Well, if it's a rule, then it's a rule. What? Once you'll give these kids a shock of their life the first day of school, you can't get your phone for the rest of the school year. That's depressing. There goes your grades. Because now that's where your focus is. I don't have my phone. Well, guess what? We're serious about this. Because again, school is not about learning the work. School is about learning how to get along well with others, how to respect and follow authority, how to follow rules, how to initiate, how to be a part of a group, how to be an individual. That's what school is for. Anyone can memorize some information and pass a test. So to the scholars, it's no shade, but that's not what you should be graded on. The degree should be in when you were assigned to be in this group to finish this project, how effective were you? Now let's see what grade you get on that. Okay, so if this is a rule, then it's a rule, because then it goes back to there's just too many options being given. It's just too much. But because everyone is, I just need to get you out my hair. This is why these kids are stuck in their phone. And now when you try to take it, now you done worked against yourself. No. So if it's going to be enforced, then let it be enforced. If you're not, you can't halfway enforce it. You're going to have to go Joe Clark.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Terrence says, I agree with Serge. Miss Erlima says, how about trying classroom to classroom? That way, in case of emergency, there are phones for people to be in touch with the outside world. I say no. I'm sorry. I definitely veto that. Listen, put the phone up. How did we manage from K through 12? We didn't have a phone. Not classroom by classroom. Unfortunately, we're dealing with a group of young people that it's either all or nothing. Shut it down. I've told this story many times here. When my daughter was going to school, she dropped that phone at the truck. If I had to calculate the $2 I had to give her every day for the school year, I'm mad. But that was the rule. I said, all right, you can take it up out of here and I'll just pay the $2 for you to drop it at the truck. She went in school. The phone was forgotten. And she came out of school. She picked up her phone and she came on home. We need to allow them more focus. Yesterday, Pat, and I'm going to close it up by saying this. Yesterday, Pastor KL said that he could have gotten a degree in spades in school.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, there was something to that. Interaction. These children have no social skills. I have seen them sit at the table and everybody got a phone in their hand. And I'm like, well, are y'all sitting at the table together? Because if y'all sitting at the table together, why do we need phones?
Right.
We need to teach them how to interact. That's why they have no social skills. Everybody trying to get married. They have kids. They don't know how to deal with anything. Get back to the spades playing. Plain simple as that. There's interaction in that. And we need to teach our children how to interact. Close, like Shanti said, the rule is the rule. If there are no phones in the school, there are no phones in the school. Parents need to get on board and just join the club. They have the office, and let the teachers have the phone. Why the teacher can't have a phone? Yeah, classroom to classroom, each teacher has a phone. And as long as he or she is not on that phone and they are teaching that class, then that's the phone that's needed in the class so that everyone has a communication device. Plain and simple as that. All right, we're winding down. We're talking about free community college and free SUNY college for specialized areas that where they're sewing, nursing, and technology and things like that. They have now 16. What am I looking at? They have 16,500 people who have signed up for this. Ladies, let's take this in 30 seconds each. Lady Tamika, how great is it that almost 20,000 people have jumped on board to get this done free?
That's amazing. The fact that it's being offered free. You know, how many people have still have student loans because they're trying to pay it off? But these are areas that are soaring and are needed. And the fact that people are applying tells you, you know, that, you know, it's a beautiful thing. You know, it's a win-win situation.
All righty. Shantice, 30 seconds.
It's really good. They're limiting it to certain programs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's really good because, again, those who had interest in furthering their education, the biggest hurdle is taken care of. You don't now have to worry about the financial aspect, which messes up a lot of the focus and concentration time. You know, so now you choose, if you decide to choose one of these programs and you go in it knowing it can have your undivided attention, and the success rate should be even higher. And more than likely, this will help to broaden it to where there will be more programs included, because everyone isn't interested in nursing, everyone isn't interested in technology. But it gives those who are interested the opportunity to be a part of the whole and have the whole college experience. So I think it's great. Again, putting the money, this is the greenery, putting it where it's needed in areas like this.
All righty. Viv. What's your thought? Free.
Yeah. It's great. It's great to see 16,000 plus people have jumped on board, that they're not wasting, again, this opportunity to go
Right,
to
right.
college for free. So even if
Mhm.
these areas that they gave are not something that you were initially interested in, now you have an opportunity to expand into an area you possibly didn't think of before. And like it was said, these are high demand areas: AI, cybersecurity, nursing. These are high demand areas where if you get a degree in this, you're going to be in a good position. So good,
Mhm.
good. Hopefully these numbers continue to climb.
Absolutely. I say wonderful. One of the main reasons why I say wonderful is one of the things that I have come to know being in a high level of employment. A lot of times things are offered and people don't take it.
Right,
And what they do is
right,
they now rescind it because they're saying we put it out there and nobody wanted it.
right,
So now oh well, guess what? Thank you. Thank you for responding to what this is what you're paying for when you pay your taxes.
hmm,
So thank you for responding so that more opportunities
right,
can come up. And
yeah,
that's what will subsequently happen. The more they offer and we receive and take, now they'll offer more because they'll realize that we're serious about
right.
moving on. So I say thank you. Moving on to our last story, our wild story about the New York double murder back in last year, this time, about a woman who was stalked by her ex and killed her and her friend. After being stalked and killing them, he took his own life. She had complained, and that's one of the things that we know happens quite often. The complaints are out there, but because he had not physically done anything to her, she was pretty much ignored. That's just the bottom line. And now they are fighting to now implement the law that says that we're going to pay attention to emotional, mental, financial abuse, because that's the precursor to the physical abuse. And a lot of times this is what's happening, and because we've ignored it, now we we're paying a price for it. Two lives, and ain't just two lives. These are the two
Hmm,
lives that got the attention. Two
right,
lives are in front of us now that we can't ignore, and now we're going to now pay attention to the real problem. Lady Tamika.
How many women in just this four? I'm pretty sure each one of us has had some type of episode with stalking, or I told you no and you kept on, or and it's a scary world that we live in. People are literally unhinged, more than ever before. And if you're
Mhm.
willing to follow me and do all kinds of stuff, um, I wouldn't put it past you to do more than that. And I personally have had someone who, for whatever reason, had got access to my key and started putting things in my home, and so
Mhm.
I thank God that God intervened. His mother used to call me and tell me, listen, such and such is coming in your neighborhood, just be cautious. Those type of things tell me,
Wow.
your parent, when your family knows that you're unhinged, you've got to take it more than just okay. And she complained. The fact that she verbalized to somebody tells us all that there's a concern. And so it
Right.
has to be taken seriously. If I can verbalize it to somebody, then somebody should be able to take it seriously, and not more than just a restraining order, because a restraining order doesn't do anything. If anything,
Thank
especially if
you.
the individual is
Thank you.
aware of a restraining order,
Mhm.
they get more defiant, and they become even more aggressive.
Right. Right. Vivienne.
yeah. It's one of those about time.
Yeah.
About time. Like, why did it take this long for somebody to finally say we need to change the definition of domestic violence so that people can get help sooner rather than later? I have receipts that this man or this person has been threatening me, following me, harassing me, and it's not until he puts hands on me, and in this case kills me, that now y'all want to do something about it. And that has been the dumbest thing that anybody has ever come up with. to wait until it gets to its worst to finally want to do something. That's so dumb. So hopefully this will be a no-brainer to the powers that be, and they will push this bill past so that it can be implemented, because about time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Miss Erlima says, "Hey, ladies, got to jump. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Godspeed, peace with miracles and blessings. A mission to uplift, empower, and leave a legacy of progress." Thank you so much, Miss Erlima, for joining us this morning. We pray you have a blessed day. Shantice.
I said to someone the other day, I told them, I've said to cops, I've said to 911's dispatchers, y'all don't want to try to prevent the yellow tape from going up. Y'all want to be on the scene to put up the yellow tape. Because y'all don't show up on the scene unless you know someone's dead or dying. I could call and tell you right now that someone has done something to me or is doing something to me that could, before I could blink, will end in one of us needing EMS. And you would take your time coming. You would take your time coming and coming with excuses. Coming with excuses. Like, so not only do you want to just make it home safe, you come late with excuses. Like, how does this work when you're supposed to protect and serve? I'm not understanding how this is supposed to work. So with this, they need to take everything serious. Like Lady Tamika said, these restraining orders, you might as well write the punchline on it. You might as well put an audio, attach an audio to it that says, ha ha, just to antagonize. Because for 9 times out of 10, if the stalker or the person you're getting the restraining order against, they have a job, you serving them on the job. That is the quickest way for them to just bug out and now come and kill you, because now they either get fired or now they get look different on their job. So this is just like, it always, unfortunately, it always has to take someone to lose their life before anything that needs to happen happens. And it should not have to be like that. You should be able to see. This is why we have the powers that be. What's the point in having the city council and police and all of that? We can govern ourselves if that's the case. Because those of us who are just regular law-abiding citizens can see that we need speed bumps here, a stop sign, a stoplight before little Johnny actually gets ran over by the car riding his bike. But you're going to wait for him to get ran over and then be okay with putting candles out here. And then now you're going to pay attention to the 15 petitions that the neighbor them signed to get these speed bumps and the stop sign. It's disgusting. It's stupid. And I really feel like whatever area this happened and whoever dropped the ball, if they start getting time and they start getting penalized, a whole lot of definitions are going to start being enforced. But because nobody has to eat any of this, they keep slow dragging. But they need to be penalized as well, as if they committed the crime themselves, because they did. You didn't do anything about it after this woman did her duty. You're telling her to tell. It's like us telling the children, somebody's bothering you, go tell. Go tell. They go and tell. But now the teachers don't do anything. You know, it's like, we have to do better. We have to do better. You don't want us to take the law in our own hands. Do better.
All righty. Terrence agrees with Lady Tamika. Vivian, we're about to lose you. What you got to say today to close us out?
I would just say take advantage of these opportunities, because it's very much needed. We're talking about it all the time. The prices of housing is going up. The pricing and everything is going up and making it very much difficult to really live and survive and thrive out here. So when opportunities such as these are coming up, make sure that you're taking advantage of all these good opportunities. And to the powers that be, please pay better attention. Please pay better attention. If you have any type of authority over something, please pay better attention to what is really necessary out here. Yeah.
All righty. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation, and we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too. Have a good day, ladies.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you. Terrence says, you're right, Shantice. The city only does things when it's too late. They don't want to feel like it's a waste to them. Serge says, also, we know people who almost died from 17 stabbings due to her neighbor was stalking her. Absolutely. Absolutely. There was the stalking business going on, and finally the attack. Here's my thought on this. Well, we're going to change the definition of domestic violence. I'm sorry. Where have you been? This has always been domestic violence.
Right.
Were you asleep? When I heard Vivian say that, I'm like, forever, the definition of abuse and domestic violence has been mental, emotional, physical, financial. It's always been that. It's what you have done with it. They wanted to have, they've always wanted to separate domestic abuse from domestic violence. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. It's all the same. So now you wake up today, we're going to change the definition. It's always been there. It's you who have drawn this fine line and said, well, if he or she doesn't put his hands on you, or if there hasn't been a mark, if there's not a mark, that's always been the case. This is not new. It's always been, and just like Serge just got finished citing, the case of the young lady who kept saying, yo, he's stalking me. Yo, he's posing a threat. And you did nothing. This New Jersey case is not the only. It's not the news. This is the whole year ago. How many other people have suffered since August 1st of 2024 up until now? Yo, where have you been? If this, let me tell you something, the lawmakers are asleep at the wheel.
Yep.
Big time. Big time. They are asleep at the wheel. It is not just men, it's women also who are the aggressors.
Correct.
You know, we find most that it's men, but women, we've done stories right here about the women. It may have been fewer, but it exists. Now, what do you do now? Now, all of a sudden, how long it's going to take to make this a new rule? How many other people going to die? How many other people are going to be stalked? How does this, let me ask this question, Lady Tamika. How does this lack of attention to this level of abuse deteriorate this whole society? It's not until you physically beat me that I can now make some noise. If that's what was going on with Cassie all this time, you know, you don't realize that people understand. You make them believe at a certain point. You now start gaslighting them into believing you're really not abused, not until somebody puts their hands on you. How does this deteriorate the society?
We are so reactionary. It's heart crushing that we are so reactionary. And I'm going to come around to something that doesn't make sense and then bring it back. So on my neighborhood, we have a stop sign. It is a very busy street, and a lot of people don't pay attention to that stop sign. And I can't tell you how many days and nights I hear, you know, and there have been accident after accident, trauma after trauma. We've seen people need the jaws of life because people go careening by that street and don't pay attention. We have been asking for a stop light to make a difference on that street. They said to us, enough people haven't died. And I mean, I was shocked by the fact that they literally verbalized to us, oh, it's just an accident. It's just a trauma. And unfortunately, in these situations, it's the same thing. Oh, he's just, he's just calling you nonstop. That's trauma by itself. I just hung up with you. I can't even make phone calls to anybody else because you're calling me. You know, I come out on the street, I see you. Your family is calling me, telling me, look out, and all of that is trauma to my, I can't even function at work because I'm scared that when I come out, you're going to do something, you're going to say something. Oh, well, he hasn't touched you. You haven't died yet. So it's not enough to matter. So you mean to tell me one life or these 2 lives don't matter enough? How many more people, male or female, have to die for you to make a decision? Oh, we're gonna change what domestic violence. That's still not making a move. You put out a restraining order, which means nothing. It's water. It causes this person to get more agitated. Oh, you put a restraining order out on me, and then they retaliate. Now you hurt me, and then I go to you sometimes, and we've seen that. We've seen issues where I've gone to the police. I've told them. I've showed you. I've got the police report.
Right.
I've got the doctor's, note saying that he damaged me, and then you still do nothing. How many more people have to die before it makes a change?
Yeah.
And this has been for years. How many individuals have already died? And just in the news, I guarantee you, if we just listen in tomorrow, today, somebody is being assaulted and nothing is being done.
Absolutely. Shantice, how has this, or how does this play a role in deteriorating society when you tell people that it's not until we see bruises, it's not until you die or someone dies before we actually can make a move?
It says to the abusee that my voice doesn't matter, that it's a waste of time for me to say anything. Or should I provoke this and speed this process up so I can go and get some bruises documented? Because I can speed up the process. So now you initiate some creativity within me, because you can't dictate how I handle even something like continuing to call me, like Lady Tanika said. You can't tell me it's just, because if I keep calling you and asking for your extension on your job, because I don't feel like you're handling my complaint a certain way, you gonna try to take some type of action, whether it's blocking me, changing something. You're gonna try to do something. It tells the abuser, I can do whatever I want. Because for this man to have gotten away with stalking this woman, that takes a lot out of a person. See, people really don't understand that even though you're the one doing these things, it's still draining for you. Because you're not acting on your own. There is a whole dark entity that is utilizing your energy to do this. This is why they end up taking their own lives, because it's that split second. They're like, what the heck did I just do? I don't want to have to face this, because if they was really about that life, they would be sitting in that orange jumpsuit
with the consequences. That's right.
In trial, ready to go to jail, ready to go get that lethal injection, ready for that electric chair, or ready to face whatever sentence the judge had for them. Right. But because I'm not really about this life, I'm not with handling the consequences that come behind the evilness that I just did. So now I take your life and then I take my life. We really don't focus on that part. So it tells the abuser that you can continue to wear yourself out in causing trauma and harm and death to someone else. And then 9 times out of 10, we're not going to get to you before you get to yourself. So you're helping to set up this toxic, useless system. Again, we might as well govern ourselves. At this point, it's like it would be so much more effective if we would be able to do that, because I could see people rallying together in groups and that being even more powerful than the system that we have now.
Absolutely. Katie says it's the lawmakers who are doing the crimes because they think they can get away with it. Absolutely. Let me read you some statistics. And this is why I say y'all coming up with, we need to change the definition of domestic violence. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men age 18 and older in the U.S. have been victim of severe physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. We have an average of 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in the United States. More than 12 million women and men over the course of a single year. So from August 1st of 2024 up until August 1st of 2025, the minimum 12 million people. You changing the definition when this has been going on all along? Nearly 3 in 10 women and 1 in 10 men in the U.S. have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by a partner and reported it having a related impact on their functioning.
That's what I said. Yep, there it is. In black and white.
And y'all just changing
Like y'all doing
the
something.
definition. Right. These are not no statistics. These are compared to previous things. I did, if you look at the YouTube channel, the same YouTube channel, it has to be maybe about 7 years ago. I did teen domestic violence, and I did just adult, everyday domestic violence. Teen domestic violence are not much different than these numbers right here. And it starts from age 9 and 10.
Jesus.
Stalking. 9 and 10 years old. That was it has to be about 7 years ago. You are now just oh, is that domestic? That's domestic violence. Where have you been? Where have you been? I saw a comment come up. Let me get to that. Ketty says, police officers are the ones who have been in the news with domestic violence and abuse cases because they think they can get away with it because they're cops. Absolutely. A lot of lawmakers and civil servants in the police and things like that are abusers. I mean, let me tell you something, and let me help you understand something. Mental, emotional stalking is worse than physical violence at any time. The bruises that you have will eventually fade. The abuse here never goes away. It never goes away. I don't care how much God you have in you. It never goes away. Tamika's a woman of God. She just got finished telling you how she was stalked. She ain't forgot that. I have not forgotten it. You learn to live with it. You allow God to ease that, but it does not go away. Physical scars, I can't tell you the scars that I've had from the physical violence. They're gone. They're gone. I can't necessarily remember every little scar that I've had. There's some scars I remember. I have a scar here, whatever. But emotional and mental scars, that's stalking. Tamika just said it. You leave up out your house, you looking around. That ain't from 2 days ago. That's from 2 years ago. That's from 2 decades ago. You're on alert. Somebody standing around. You saw somebody twice in a row. Why are you standing there? It's not fear. There's an alert. There's an alarm that's inside of you that says, I need to pay attention to my surroundings because I can't let my guard down. Because at one time I may have. So this is some serious stuff here.
But Pastor,
serious stuff.
I'm sorry, to highlight what you just said. I remember reading that I don't remember if I read it or I think I watched it. Gabrielle Union sat with Jada Pinkett at the red table, and she spoke about when she got raped when she was working at Payless. And she said it got to the point where she couldn't even exchange money at night with people. And when she said it, I was like, that's crazy, because what from what I read happened to her, because in her book she laid out like the whole scene as to when she had that experience. And it was, I think, the boss, or it was another employee. It wasn't like a customer came in bum rush and had her in the back, you know, but they were working in a store. So maybe that is just like, I don't need to wear, because even though, you know, if I'm working a register, wherever, you're a stranger, that's still an interaction. You know, there's some level of intimacy there. I'm taking your money. I have to give you change. I have to, especially if you're working in an establishment that enforces, like as servers, when you give your credit card to pay, when the server brings it back, we're supposed to acknowledge you by your last name. So I'm now supposed to bring you your credit card back and say, okay, Miss Joseph, please sign this copy and that copy. Thank you so much for dining with us. I'm not just supposed to leave the check presented and walk off. I'm supposed to address you by that name. So I was like, that is crazy how now, because this happened to you, the average person, the average mom would be like, well, what does exchanging money at night have to do with you being raped, unless you were being raped while exchanging money? But because things are a lot more connected than what you think, like you just said, it's like, oh no, it got to the point where it took a long time for me to even be able to do that. And I was like, that just highlights again the trauma, how there's a domino effect with things, and you can't dictate to someone how to deal with, or how to, now my perspective on things is so much different because I experienced that.
Right. Absolutely. Lady Tamika, we're closing out. What are we saying here?
To those who, and going back to everything that we have discussed, for the benefit of those who it involves, meaning your child care, meaning your education, I'd say push to get what it is that you can get. Very few things are free this day and age. Then I say push for it. You know, if you've got children that you need to take care of, do it. You know, if you've got an education, even if you have to reinvent yourself, you know, if that's something that's an opportunity, do it. You know, and to those who it is their responsibility to make sure, when we're talking about domestic violence, again, do it. Not just reinventing the wheel, so to speak, but make sure that everybody that's involved gets taken care of. You know, that's what we were supposed to do in the very beginning. We have lost it from the pandemic on, and it's time to get it back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Shantice, how are we closing out here?
If you are in any position to make a difference, make it. Because you have no idea how you are being relied upon to be the change agent with these things. If we can't rely on the people who are supposed to protect us, I cannot now be the reason why you stumble, or you now feel like you have to take matters into your own hands. So like Pastor Steph said, the powers that be, the lawmakers, they are falling asleep on the job. They are trash. They are trash, because lives have to, at the expense of lives and people's sanity. You want to, instead of you, and this is how, you know, we have to make sure our integrity is up. Instead of them saying we have to highlight every definition of domestic violence, you will now make it seem like you're inventing a new definition. Because by you making it seem like you're inventing it, you don't have to admit that you dropped the ball. And now these two women are dead. Instead of saying, you know what, we missed the mark. And because that's what I say, if you don't want to get penalized, because we're going to get penalized, whether it's here on earth or whether it's by God directly. So make sure, if you're in that position on any level, in any form, that you're making it your business to be that change agent, so no one has to suffer any fatalities again under your watch.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, ladies, for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Have a blessed
You
one.
too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We got a check in from Majesty. Hey, Majesty. We've got a comment from Serge. You think your mind will clear and become, however, the repetition of being stalked causes your mind to shift into fear, and it will be through becoming closer to God that will help you overcome this. Amen. I meant your mind becomes strong. We get you. Thank you, Serge, for the correction. Ooh. Shartice made a statement. She said, if you are in the position, I'm going to reword that. We are always in position. We do not realize the power we're given. I want to go back biblically where the word of God says that we were created to have dominion over this earth. And most times when that's preached, is preached in the essence of we were supposed to care for the grass, the trees, the flowers, the animals. We're supposed to have dominion over one another in a very gentle manner, in a manner where it allows us to see the need of someone else, to find the need where something is missing, and now fill the need. See, this I always say the word of God is narrow but broad, broad but narrow. And it means a whole lot more than what we think it does. We absolutely have authority. In church, I always say that I have a young group. I always tell you that. And I always say God has given us responsibility in layers. So we have the older generation who's supposed to help to take care of a me. And then I help to take care of that generation right underneath me. That generation takes care of the millennials. The millennials take care of the Zs. The Zs take care of the alphas. And the alphas take care of the betas. So everybody wants to believe that I don't have a responsibility other than what's right here. But everything we've talked about today, every single thing Vivian brought to us today indicates a level of responsibility. Everything. We heard a couple of the items that Vivian brought, talked about free. We have free aftercare, after school care. We have free schooling. That's what we're supposed to do. Everything is not supposed to cost. Everything should not have a value of $1. Well, it costs to do this, so therefore we can't do this because we don't have enough money. I can't do this because I don't have enough time. I can't do this because I don't have enough experience. We all have enough to be able to do what we can and are expected to do. And I go back to the parable of the talents. Each of those talents were given based upon who it was given to. And it says that. It says according to who it was, pretty much. So in other words, I always use the example that God is never going to give a kindergartner college work. There is always a level of responsibility we have. We can always make a difference. No matter who you are, no matter what it is, you can help to be a change agent. You know, years ago, I used to hear, we can't win souls. People can't win souls. And I'm reading right in the Bible. It says, win souls, us, we, man. We know God gives the increase. God makes the final decision. But we have a heavy responsibility here. heavy responsibility. And it amazes me how people always vie for these positions. I want to be a this, I want to be a that, I want to be a lawmaker, I want to be a decision maker, but yet we can't even handle what we have in our possession. We can't handle it. Oh, I want to be a mother because I want somebody to love me. Let's say that again. I want to be a mother because I want someone to love me. So you're bringing somebody here who's supposed to do something for you. That's a brand new life who has no concept of what it is to do something for someone else. Because once a child comes here, you have automatically got to do for the child. First thing the child needs to do is eat, to be held, to be loved. But if you're already thinking what you can do for me, then we've already missed the mark. And that's what it is. That's what happens. We talk about the laws that are being made. And the laws, we had the same instance here where we were asking for speed bumps because they're flying down the street. And nobody paid attention to it. No, we didn't have enough petitions and we didn't have enough this and enough of that hadn't happened until the kid got killed. And then we got 2 speed bumps. Like Lady Tamika said, this world is reactionary. We don't take the power that God gives us and use it. We don't use it the way we should. Because we're always behind the ball rolling that we always miss the mark. You can't be behind the ball but catch what's going to happen. Because the ball being hit something before you could even respond. God has given us dominion over this earth. That means we're supposed to be ahead of the game, not behind. God has given us dominion over this earth. That means that we have a responsibility. And it ain't just to the animals and to the trees. We have a responsibility for one another. And that's all we talk about in Socially Conscious. What are we supposed to do for one another? How is this world handling one another, each other? And as we see, we always miss the mark. Very rarely do we miss the mark. For our benediction today, I'm going old school. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us. To him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. That's Ephesians 3:20 and 21. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we can ask or think. And then it goes back to us, according to the power at work within us. We are never outside of the equation. There is always a responsibility for us. We are always in the position where we are supposed to do. We cannot go to sleep at the wheel. We cannot go to sleep at the wheel for our children. We cannot go to sleep at the wheel for our grandchildren. We cannot go to sleep at the wheel for our next door neighbor. We cannot go to sleep at the wheel for the people we're supposed to be serving on our job. We're not supposed to be asleep at the wheel for at no time. Doesn't mean that we are perfect. Absolutely not. But stop missing the mark, because we can see what missing the mark does. It is, I can't even find a word that describes how I personally feel when I hear we are going to redefine. We're going to include this when it's already been happening. When it's already been happening. You're behind the mark. So people of God, we have a job to do. And we're expected to function at a higher level than the unbeliever. Unbelievers, people who do not serve God, You have a job to do. And in order to effectively do your job, you've got to completely understand what the job is. And that's the biggest problem. We don't understand what our job is, whether it's our secular job, our job once God creates us, once we accept Jesus as our personal Savior. We don't understand completely what our job is. Thus, I don't know what I'm here for. Thus, I don't know my purpose. You don't understand your job. Because if you did, you would know it's for us to give our lives to God so that He can position us to serve this earth, to know and understand what really having dominion over this earth means, what it means to disciple others, which is a charge that we have. Let's get this job done right. Let's make sure we're answering the call of Christ. We are not just created to exist. That's not our job, to just be here. We are not created to be needy. I can't do nothing for nobody because I need. I can't do nothing for nobody until I get myself together. Whatever little bit you have, you can do. You can help something. You can help somebody. As God works on you, just continue to position yourself for God to work on you, give you increase so that you can serve Him properly. We can't have dominion over this earth until we understand what that ultimately means. And we've heard it today, how we can easily miss the mark. Easily miss the mark. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the ladies, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us do what we do and keeping that chat room alive. Ooh, please do not miss the mark. Please, please don't let it be another minute before you give your life to Christ. If you've already given your life to Christ, there's always room for improvement. So make sure you continue to move into strengthening that relationship with the Lord, because later is not promised to any of us. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that anything we do here on this channel, you are alerted and you're not asleep at the wheel. And when you hear we're talking and telling you about it, you want to be there. You don't want to miss it. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love you.